Hello everyone, and welcome back to the English Academy. I am very happy you are here today. Before we begin, I want to ask you one question. Have you ever smiled in front of everyone, but cried inside every night? Have you ever waited for one message, one phone call, one person who truly cared? If your answer is yes, then this story is for you. Please stay with me until the end. Because today's story is not only for learning English. It is also about understanding life. Now, let's begin. There was a young man named Alex. He was 26 years old. He had a job. He had a small apartment. He had a good salary. People thought he had a perfect life. Every morning, Alex woke up at 7. He made his bed. He brushed his teeth. He took a shower. He wore clean clothes. He looked into the mirror. Then he smiled. But it was not a real smile. It was only a smile for the world. He locked his door. He walked to work. The sun was shining. People were busy. Cars moved fast. Everyone looked happy. Alex also looked happy. At work, he greeted everyone. Good morning. His friends smiled. His manager smiled. His customers smiled. Everyone liked Alex. They said, "You always have positive energy. You never look sad. You are always smiling." Alex smiled again. But inside, he felt empty. No one could see the pain behind his eyes. No one asked, "Are you really okay?" The day passed. Alex worked hard. He helped everyone. He solved problems. He laughed at jokes. He acted like everything was fine. When the work was over, everyone went home. Some people went to meet their families. Some people met their friends. Some people had dinner with someone they loved. Alex walked home. Alone. He opened the door. The room was silent. Very silent. No one said, "Welcome home." No one asked, "How was your day?" He placed his bag on the floor. He sat on his bed. He looked around the room. Everything was in its place. But something was missing. It was not money. It was not success. It was not comfort. It was love. It was connection. It was someone who truly cared. Alex picked up his phone. He checked WhatsApp. Nothing. He checked Instagram. Nothing. He checked his missed calls. 0. He smiled for a moment. Then the smile slowly disappeared. He looked out of the window. The moon was bright. The city was full of lights. But his heart felt darker than the night. He whispered to himself, "Why do I feel so alone? Even though millions of people live in this city." He closed his eyes. Little did he know that this lonely night was the beginning of a journey that would change his life forever. The next morning, the alarm rang at 7. Alex opened his eyes. He did not feel fresh. He did not feel excited. He only felt tired. Not because of work, but because of his thoughts. He stood up slowly. He looked into the mirror again. There were dark circles under his eyes. He smiled. The same fake smile. Then he said, "Let's do it again." He left for work. On the way, he saw many people. Some were laughing. Some were talking. Some were holding hands. Alex looked at them for a moment. Then he looked down. He quietly kept walking. At the office, everything looked normal. His friends laughed. People talked about movies. Some planned a trip. Others spoke about their families. Alex listened. He smiled. But he said very little. Around lunchtime, his friend David walked to him. "Alex, are you coming with us?" Alex smiled. "No, thank you. I have some work." David nodded and left. The truth was, Alex had no work. He only did not want anyone to see the sadness inside him. He sat alone. He opened his lunchbox. He ate in silence. He looked around the room. Everyone had someone to talk to. But he had only silence. For the first time, he asked himself, "When did I become so lonely?" He could not remember. Maybe loneliness does not come in one day. Maybe it grows slowly. Until one day, it becomes your whole world. That evening, Alex returned home. He took off his shoes. He threw his keys on the table. The room was as quiet as always. He made a cup of coffee. Then he sat near the window. Outside, people were enjoying their evening. Children were playing. Parents were smiling. Friends were walking together. Alex watched them for a long time. Then he quietly asked himself, "Why does everyone have someone? But I don't." A few minutes later, his phone made a sound. Alex quickly picked it up. His heart started beating faster. Maybe someone remembered him. Maybe someone wanted to talk. But it was only a bank message. He smiled sadly. Then he put the phone back on the table. That small moment broke his heart again. He opened social media. Everyone looked happy. Birthday parties. Family dinners. Vacation photos. Couples laughing together. Perfect lives. Alex kept scrolling. With every picture, he felt more alone. Then he stopped. He asked himself, "Are they really this happy? Or are they hiding their pain too?" For the first time, he realized something. People share their smiles. But they hide their tears. Maybe he was not the only lonely person in the world. That one thought stayed in his mind the whole night. The next day, it was Saturday. Alex did not have to go to work. But he still woke up early. The apartment was silent. No alarm. No phone calls. Nothing. He made a cup of tea. Then he sat on the balcony. The cool morning air touched his face. For a few minutes, he felt peaceful. Then, his mind became noisy again. He remembered his childhood. When he was a little boy, his house was full of laughter. His mother smiled every day. His father came home with stories. Every evening, the family ate dinner together. Life was simple. Life felt warm. But years passed. His parents became busy. His friends moved away. Some got married. Some changed cities. Some slowly stopped calling. At first, Alex thought, they are just busy. Then weeks became months. Months became years. One day, he looked at his contact list. There were hundreds of names. But he did not know who he could call without feeling like a burden. That thought hurt him. Not because he had no contacts, but because he had no real connection. He placed the phone on the table. He closed his eyes. Then he whispered, "I don't need 100 people. I just need one person who truly cares." At that moment, someone knocked on his door. Alex was surprised. Nobody ever visited him. He slowly stood up. and walked toward the door. Alex slowly opened the door. An old man was standing outside. His hair was white. His face had many wrinkles. But his eyes looked kind. He smiled gently. "Hello," the old man said. "I am your new neighbor. My name is Mr. Thomas. I think I received your package by mistake." Alex looked at the small box. "Oh, thank you." Mr. Thomas smiled. "You are welcome." For a few seconds, both of them stayed silent. Then the old man asked, "Would you like to have a cup of tea with me?" Alex wanted to say no. He always said no. He was used to being alone. But this time, something inside him said, "Say yes." So he smiled and said, "Yes. I would like that." A few minutes later, they were sitting together. The room was simple. There were old books everywhere. A small clock was ticking on the wall. The smell of fresh tea filled the room. Mr. Thomas looked at Alex. Then he asked softly, "Can I ask you something?" Alex nodded. The old man smiled. "You smile with your face, but not with your eyes." Alex was shocked. No one had ever noticed that before. For the first time, someone saw the pain he had been hiding. Alex looked down. He could not speak. His eyes slowly filled with tears. Mr. Thomas did not ask another question. He simply sat beside him, in complete silence. Sometimes, silence from the right person says more than 1,000 words. Alex tried to stop his tears, but he could not. For years, he had hidden his feelings. Now, they were coming out. "I don't understand," Alex said. "Why do I feel so lonely? I have a job. I have money. I have a place to live. So why does my heart feel empty?" Mr. Thomas smiled kindly. Then he said, "Because the heart does not live on money. It lives on love. It lives on hope. It lives on real connections." Alex listened carefully. The old man continued. "When I was young, I also felt lonely. I believed that no one cared about me. So I closed my heart. I stopped talking. I stopped trusting people. And do you know what happened?" Alex slowly shook his head. "I became even more lonely." Mr. Thomas looked out of the window. The biggest mistake we make is waiting for someone else to save us. We wait for a message. We wait for a phone call. We wait for someone to knock on our door. But sometimes, life is waiting for us to take the first step. Alex stayed silent. Those words touched his heart. For the first time in many years, he felt that someone truly understood him. Before Alex left, Mr. Thomas gave him a small notebook. On the first page, only one sentence was written. "Every night, write down one reason to be thankful. Even if it is very small." Alex looked at the notebook. He did not know that this small gift would slowly begin to change the way he saw his life. That night, Alex sat on his bed. The notebook was in his hands. He looked at the first empty page. He held his pen. But he did not know what to write. He thought for a long time. Then he slowly wrote, "I am thankful because I am still alive." It was only one sentence. But after writing it, his heart felt a little lighter. The next morning, he wrote another sentence. "I am thankful for the warm sunlight." The day after that, "I am thankful for the food on my table." Every night, he wrote one small reason. Some days were difficult. Some days, he wanted to give up. But he remembered Mr. Thomas's words. Small steps change a life. A week later, something strange happened. Alex smiled again. But this time, the smile felt different. It was not perfect. It was not big. But it was real. People at work noticed. His friend David asked, "You look different. You look peaceful." Alex smiled. "I don't know why. But I think I am learning to see life differently." That evening, instead of going straight home, Alex walked through a small park. He saw an old woman trying to carry heavy bags. Without thinking, he walked over. "Can I help you?" The old woman smiled. "Thank you, son." As they walked together, she told him about her life. She had no husband. Her children lived far away. She also felt lonely. Alex listened carefully. For the first time, he realized something important. He was not the only person fighting a silent battle. Every smile could be hiding pain. Every person could be carrying a story. And from that day, Alex decided he would never ignore a lonely person again. The next Sunday, Alex visited Mr. Thomas again. This time, he was smiling. Not because life was perfect, but because he finally had someone to talk to. Mr. Thomas poured 2 cups of tea. Then he asked, "Tell me, Alex, what have you learned this week?" Alex thought for a moment. Then he smiled. "I learned that loneliness is not the same as being alone." Mr. Thomas nodded. "Exactly. You can stand in the middle of a crowd and still feel lonely. You can also sit alone in a quiet room and feel completely peaceful." Alex listened carefully. The old man continued. "Peace does not come from people. It comes from your relationship with yourself. If you do not enjoy your own company, no one else can fill that empty space forever." Those words stayed in Alex's heart. As he walked home, he stopped at a small coffee shop. He saw a little boy sitting alone. The boy looked sad. Alex walked over. "Is this seat free?" The boy smiled. "Yes." They talked for a few minutes. The boy said, "My parents are always busy. I don't have many friends. Sometimes I feel invisible." Alex understood every word. Before leaving, he said, "Remember this. You are never invisible. Sometimes the right people just haven't found you yet." The boy smiled. It was a real smile. As Alex walked away, he realized something beautiful. Helping another lonely person was also healing his own heart. For the first time in many years, he did not feel completely alone anymore. Weeks passed. Alex was changing. Not because his problems disappeared, but because his thinking changed. One evening, he looked at his phone. There were still very few messages. Very few calls. But this time, he did not feel empty. He smiled and said, "My happiness is not inside this phone." The next morning, Mr. Thomas invited Alex for a walk. They walked slowly through the park. After a few minutes, Mr. Thomas stopped near a small tree. He pointed at it and asked, "Do you see this tree?" Alex nodded. "It stands here alone. But look closely. It gives shade. It gives fresh air. It asks for nothing. Still, it makes the world better." Then Mr. Thomas looked at Alex. "You are like this tree. You think you are alone. But your kindness, can become someone's hope. Alex stood quietly. Those words touched his heart. That evening, instead of going home, Alex called David. "Would you like to have dinner with me?" David laughed. "I have been waiting for you to ask." During dinner, they talked for hours. Not about work. Not about money. They talked about life. About fear. About dreams. About loneliness. Before leaving, David smiled and said, "Alex, I thought you never wanted friends." Alex shook his head. "No. I was only afraid that nobody wanted me." David placed his hand on Alex's shoulder. "You were wrong. Sometimes people don't walk into our lives. We have to open the door first." Alex smiled. For the first time, his smile reached his eyes. And in that moment, he understood a simple truth. Loneliness becomes smaller when one heart has the courage to reach another heart. Months passed. Life was still not perfect. Some days were difficult. Some nights still felt quiet. But Alex was no longer afraid of silence. Because silence no longer meant loneliness. One evening, Alex walked to Mr. Thomas's apartment. He knocked on the door. There was no answer. He knocked again. Still, no answer. A neighbor walked toward him. She looked sad. "Are you looking for Mr. Thomas?" Alex nodded. The woman took a deep breath. "This morning, he passed away peacefully." Alex could not believe it. His heart stopped for a moment. The notebook fell from his hands. Tears filled his eyes. The man who had changed his life was gone. A few days later, Alex received a small envelope. It was from Mr. Thomas. Inside was a handwritten letter. It said, "Dear Alex, if you are reading this, it means I am no longer here. Do not be sad. Every life has an ending. But kindness never ends. When I met you, I did not save your life. I only reminded you of the strength that was already inside you. Now, promise me one thing. Whenever you meet a lonely person, listen to them. Smile at them. Be kind to them. Because sometimes, one kind heart can save another. Do not spend your life waiting for someone to love you. Become the person who gives love first. That is how loneliness loses." Goodbye, my friend. And thank you for bringing joy into my final days. Alex folded the letter. He looked up at the sky. He whispered, "Thank you for changing my life." A gentle smile appeared on his face. This time, it was a smile that came from his heart. 1 year later, Alex's life looked very different. He was still living in the same apartment. He was still doing the same job. But something inside him had changed forever. Every Friday evening, he visited the same park. He carried two things with him: a small notebook and a warm smile. Whenever he saw someone sitting alone, he walked over. Sometimes he said, "Hello." Sometimes he simply asked, "How are you today?" Many people smiled. Some people cried. Some people said, "Thank you for talking to me." Alex finally understood. Kindness costs nothing. But it can mean everything. One evening, a young man sat beside him. His eyes were full of pain. He looked exactly like Alex. 1 year ago. The young man whispered, "I feel like nobody cares about me." Alex smiled gently. He did not give a long speech. He did not try to fix everything. He simply listened. After a long silence, Alex said, "I know how you feel. I was once sitting exactly where you are. But believe me, this feeling will not last forever. As long as you keep hope alive." The young man looked at him. "Really?" Alex nodded. "Yes. Sometimes the darkest night comes before the brightest morning." The young man smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. As Alex walked home, he looked up at the stars. Then he remembered Mr. Thomas. He smiled and quietly said, "You were right. One kind heart really can save another." And maybe, if you are listening to this story today, and you also feel alone, please remember this. Your story is not over. Someone is waiting to meet you. Someone will understand you. But first, do not stop believing in yourself. Keep moving. Keep smiling. Keep hoping. Because even the longest night always ends with a beautiful sunrise. Thank you for listening. See you in the next story here on the English Academy.